Before you hit play on another video, do me one favor, subscribe. You're about to hear something that was buried under 3 layers of classification for 5 years. And when this ends, you'll understand why some truths never make it past the briefing room door. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what happened in October 2019, deep in the Cascade mountain range, during what was supposed to be a 72-hour navigation exercise. What matters is that we went in as 5 trained operators. Only 3 of us walked out. We assembled at Joint Base Lewis McChord on October 14th, 0400 hours. The brief was simple, too simple. Cross 40 miles of unmarked wilderness using only compass and terrain association. No GPS. No satellite communication except emergency beacon. Command wanted to test our land navigation skills in mountainous conditions before winter set in. Our team. Call sign Reaper 5. Sergeant First Class, Marcus Webb, Team Leader, Ranger Qualified, 2 combat tours. Built like a tree trunk, moved like smoke. Staff Sergeant Elena Vasquez, Communications Specialist, fluent in 4 languages, could jury-rig a radio from spare parts and spite. Sergeant Jamal Foster, our medic, former college linebacker who traded the NFL for the Army because, in his words, I wanted to save lives, not wreck knees. Corporal David Chen, youngest member, scout and marksman, 23 years old with eyes that missed nothing. And me, Sergeant Kyle Morrison, second in command, 10 years in, specializing in reconnaissance and surveillance. We'd trained together for 18 months. We trusted each other with our lives. That trust was about to be tested in ways none of us could imagine. The insertion went smooth. Chinook dropped us at grid reference November Tango 7492 at 0630, just as dawn light started filtering through the canopy. The pilot didn't linger. Rotors barely kissed the clearing before he pulled pitch and vanished back toward civilization. The silence hit immediately. Not peaceful silence. Wrong silence. Foster noticed it first. Where are the birds? He was right. No crow calls. No ravens. No woodpeckers hammering dead trees. The forest was holding its breath. Probably just the helo, Chen offered, adjusting his pack straps. Give it 10 minutes. Webb checked his map, oriented with his compass. We've got 41 miles to extract Point Cougar. 3 days. Terrain's gonna slow us, but it's nothing we haven't handled. Let's move. We formed a loose ranger file, Webb on point, me behind him, Vasquez center, Foster fourth, Chen pulling rear security and pushed into the tree line. The Cascades are beautiful in that brutal, indifferent way that mountains have. Douglas firs, towering 200 feet overhead, trunks thick as cars, underbrush dense enough to hide anything. The air smelled like wet earth, pine needles, and decomposing moss. Our boots crunched through layers of organic matter that hadn't been disturbed in decades. 2 hours in, the silence still hadn't broken. This is weird, Vasquez muttered, keeping her voice low. I've trained in these mountains before. There should be wildlife everywhere. Webb held up a closed fist freeze. We stopped, crouched, weapons ready. My pulse kicked up, adrenaline sharpening everything. Webb pointed at the ground ahead. A track. Not deer, not elk, not bear. Barefoot, human-shaped, 22 inches long. I knelt beside it, touching the impression in soft mud near a stream. 5 distinct toes. Deep pressure point at the heel. Recent edges still crisp. Water seeping slowly into the depression. Someone hiking out here barefoot? Chen whispered. In October? Foster shook his head. Hypothermia would kill you in hours. Webb's jaw tightened. Could be a survival training cadre testing us. Stay alert. But his eyes said something else. His eyes said this isn't right. We continued on, following our azimuth northwest. The terrain steepened, forcing us to navigate around ravines and deadfall. Every 50 meters, I'd glance back, checking our 6. That's when I started feeling it. The watched feeling. You know it if you've been deployed. That animal awareness that something's observing you, calculating, waiting. The hair-raising certainty that you're not the hunter anymore. By 1400 hours, we'd covered 12 miles. Webb called a break in a small clearing where a creek cut through moss-covered stones. We refilled water, 8 MREs, checked our feet for blisters. Chen wandered 30 feet east to relieve himself. 5 seconds later, holy, guys, you need to see this. We found him standing at the edge of a small grove, staring at a Douglas fir that was easily 8 feet in diameter. The bark had been stripped away in long, vertical gouges, exposing pale wood underneath. The damage started 7 feet off the ground and extended another 3 feet up. Foster ran his fingers along the marks. Claw marks? Bear, Webb said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. I shook my head. Bears scratch trees to mark territory, sure. But this... I measured the gouges with my hand. These are 6 inches apart. Consistent depth, made by something with serious reach and strength. Grizzly? Vasquez offered. Grizzlies don't get this big in the Cascades. Wrong habitat. Foster was our wildlife expert, grew up hunting in Montana, and the claw pattern's wrong. 2. Deliberate. Chen aimed his rifle scope at the top of the marks. Whatever did this was 10 feet tall. Minimum. No one spoke for a moment. Then Webb's radio crackled the emergency frequency we kept monitored even though we weren't supposed to transmit. A voice, distorted by distance and interference. Reaper, 5, if you, copy, immediate, advise extreme caution. November Tango Corridor, multiple civilian disappearances. Last 3 years. Pattern suggests. Static swallowed the rest. Webb keyed his handset. Say again. Over. Nothing. He tried twice more. Silence. Could have been for another unit, Vasquez said, but she didn't believe it. Neither did we. Webb's expression hardened. We're 12 miles in, 30 to go. Turning back now means we fail the exercise and look like quitters over a garbled radio message. We push on, but we go tactical, full noise discipline, rotating security. No solo movements. Clear? We all nodded. What choice did we have? By 1800 hours, the forest had changed. Not physically, the trees were still there. The mountains still loomed. The creek still gurgled over stones. But something fundamental had shifted. The quality of light seemed thicker, grayer, even though sunset was still an hour away. And the smell. Musk. Heavy. Animal musk, mixed with something rotten sweet, like meat left in summer heat. It came in waves, carried on wind that shouldn't exist under this dense canopy. Foster gagged quietly, pulling his neck gaiter over his nose. That's decay. Something died nearby. Something big. We found it 20 meters later. An elk carcass, or what remained of one. A bull, judging by the antlers scattered nearby. 500 pounds of animal reduced to scattered bones and torn hide. But it wasn't the kill that stopped us cold. It was the bones. They're broken, Chen whispered, kneeling. Every single major bone. Femur, pelvis, ribs, snapped clean, open. Foster examined the remains with clinical detachment, his medic training overriding revulsion. Marrow's been extracted. That takes serious bite force. Or hands strong enough to crack bones like breadsticks. How long ago? Webb asked. Day. Maybe 2. Scavengers haven't touched it. I scanned the perimeter. Rifle up. Finger resting beside the trigger guard. Why would scavengers avoid a free meal? No one answered. Because we all knew. Scavengers avoid apex predators. We pushed on as dusk thickened into early dark. Webb wanted to reach a ridgeline he'd marked on the map. Defensible position, good visibility. But the terrain wasn't cooperating. What looked like a gentle slope on the map turned into near-vertical scrambles over wet rock and fallen timber. By 1930 hours, full darkness had dropped like a curtain. We broke out NVG's night vision goggles, bathing the world in green monochrome. The forest transformed into a maze of shadows and stark contrasts. Every tree became a potential threat, every boulder a hiding place. We were making decent time when Vasquez, in the middle of our file, stopped abruptly. Listen. We froze. Crack. A branch breaking. Heavy. Deliberate. Maybe 80 meters to our east. Then another. Closer. 60 meters. Something was pacing us. Webb hand signaled. Defensive posture. outward-facing circle. We formed up, backs together, rifles oriented in overlapping sectors. My heart hammered against my vest. Breathing techniques: slow in through the nose, out through the mouth. Control the adrenaline. Use it. Crack. 40 meters. North now. It was circling us. Chen's voice, barely audible. I've got movement. 11 o'clock. Big. Really big. Through my NVGs, I caught it, a massive shape moving between trees with unnatural fluidity. Bipedal. Easily 8 feet tall, maybe taller. Shoulders broader than any human's. Arms that hung too long, past where knees should be. It stopped, turned its head toward us. And I swear to God, even through night vision, I saw intelligence in those eyes. Not animal cunning. Intelligence. Assessment. It was deciding whether we were prey. Nobody move, Webb breathed. No aggression. Nice and easy. For 15 seconds that felt like 15 hours, it watched us. Then it released a sound. Not a growl. Not a roar. A vocalization. Deep, resonant, starting low in the chest and building to a howl that vibrated through the ground beneath our boots. The sound bypassed my ears and went straight to some primal part of my brain that remembered when humans were prey animals. Every instinct screamed, run. Webb's hand tightened on his rifle, but he didn't raise it. Hold. The howl cut off abruptly. Silence flooded back, thick, oppressive, suffocating. Then, from the south, an answering call. Different pitch. Higher. Chen's voice cracked. There's more than one. A third call. From the west. Vasquez keyed her emergency radio, breaking protocol. Any station. Any station. This is Reaper 5. We have an emergency situation. Static. She adjusted frequency. Tried again. Command. Reaper 5. Request immediate extract. Her radio died. Just stopped. No static. No carrier wave. Dead. Foster tried his. Same result. Then mine. All of them. Simultaneously offline. That's not possible, Vasquez hissed. Different frequencies. Different batteries. Military-grade equipment doesn't just... The ground vibrated. Footsteps. Running. Heavy impacts. Rhythmic. Coming from multiple directions. Move, Webb shouted. Northeast. Go, go, go. We ran. Training went out the window. Noise, discipline, formation, caution gone. Pure survival instinct took over. We crashed through underbrush, vaulted fallen logs, slipped on wet stones, kept moving because stopping meant death. Behind us, the footsteps matched our pace, keeping distance, hurting us. Chen went down hard, ankle twisting on a root. Foster grabbed him, hauled him up. I got you. Move. The tree line broke ahead, a clearing, maybe 30 meters across. Exposed ground. Tactically terrible, but the forest felt like a trap closing. We burst into the open, gulping air, spinning to cover our back trail. Nothing emerged from the trees. The footsteps had stopped. Why aren't they following? Chen panted, limping on his injured ankle. I scanned the tree line through my NVGs, sweeping left to right. That's when I saw them. Standing just inside the shadows, 3 of them, motionless, watching. The center one, the largest, the one that had studied us earlier, raised one massive arm and pointed directly at me. Then it made a sound. Not a howl this time. Something else, rhythmic, patterned. Is it communicating? Vasquez whispered. The other 2 responded with similar vocalizations. Back and forth, syntax, structure, language. Webb's voice was hollow. We need to move. Now. Before they decide we're worth the effort. We backed across the clearing, weapons trained on the tree line, moving toward the far side where the slope rose toward the ridge Webb had marked. The creatures didn't follow. They just watched us go. And somehow, that was worse than being chased, because it meant they knew something we didn't. It meant they were confident we weren't escaping. We were just being moved into position. We climbed for 40 minutes straight, lungs burning, legs screaming. Chen gritted through the pain in his ankle, refusing help. Behind us, the forest remained silent, no pursuit sounds, no vocalizations, nothing. The silence was worse than noise. At 2,045 hours, we crested the ridge Webb had marked. A rocky outcrop jutted from the mountainside, forming a natural shelter with a stone overhang. 3 sides protected. Good sight lines down the slope we'd just climbed. Webb assessed it with a tactical eye. Defensible. We post security in shifts. 2 on, 3 off. 4-hour rotations. No fires. Minimal light. We hold here until dawn, then push hard for extract. That's still 28 miles away, Vasquez said quietly. Through more of this. I'm aware. Foster dropped his pack, immediately checking Chen's ankle. Sprained, not broken. I can tape it, but you're compromised. You'll slow us down. Then I'll move faster, Chen shot back. Not staying here alone. No one argued. We'd all seen enough horror movies. While Foster worked on Chen's ankle, I helped Vasquez try the radios again. She pulled out her backup unit, checked connections, swapped batteries. Nothing. It's not the equipment, she finally admitted. Something's jamming us. Or, she hesitated. Or what? Or they are. I stared at her. You think those things are jamming military radio frequencies? I think we don't know what they are. I think everything we saw tonight shouldn't be possible, but it happened anyway. So yeah, maybe they figured out how to disrupt our comms. Or maybe they give off some kind of electromagnetic field. Or maybe a rock clattered down the slope below us. We went silent, instantly. Weapons up. More rocks. Something moving up the hill. Multiple somethings. Webb hand-signaled. Defensive positions. We spread out along the outcrop's edge, using boulders for cover. My NVGs revealed 3 shapes ascending the slope with disturbing speed, navigating terrain in full darkness that we'd struggled with using night vision. 50 meters. 40. 30. On my mark, Webb whispered. We light them up with IR strobes and rifle lights. Shock and awe. Maybe we can scare them off. I seriously doubted that. But I activated my weapon-mounted light, finger on the switch. 20 meters. Now, 5 tactical lights blazed simultaneously, 400 lumens each, turning night into day. The creatures froze. For the first time, we saw them clearly. 8 feet tall, minimum, covered in dark reddish-brown hair, thick and coarse, shoulders grotesquely broad, arms reaching past their knees, ending in hands with fingers that looked too long, too articulated. Faces pushed forward in a brutal prognathic structure, heavy brow ridges, flat noses, wide mouths. But the eyes, dark, deep-set, and unmistakably aware, looking at us not with animal fear of the light, but with irritation, like we'd interrupted something. The center one, the alpha, I'd started thinking of it, tilted its head, studying our lights. Then it did something that turned my blood to ice water. It raised one hand to shield its eyes from the glare. A learned behavior. A human gesture. Jesus Christ. Foster breathed. The alpha lowered its hand, opened its mouth, and spoke. Not howls, not animal sounds. A vocalization that had syllables. Structure. Intonation. It was talking to us. The other 2 responded. Similar vocalizations. Back and forth. A conversation. About us. Are we sure these aren't people in suits? Chen asked desperately. Some kind of psyops exercise? I wanted to believe that. God, I wanted to. But no suit moved like that. No costume captured that uncanny valley between human and animal. No actor had eyes that reflected light with a tapetum lucidum shine, like a deer caught in headlights. These were real. The alpha took a step forward. Webb shouldered his rifle. That's far enough. It stopped, looked at the rifle, looked at Webb. Then it smiled. Not a friendly expression. A predator's smile. Lips pulling back to reveal teeth. Human-like incisors. And canines. But larger, sharper, built for rending meat. It knew what the rifle was. It didn't care. Fire a warning shot, Vasquez urged. Over its head. Webb adjusted aim and squeezed the trigger. The suppressed rifle coughed a sharp crack that echoed off the mountainside. The round passed 2 feet above the Alpha's head, impacting a tree behind it with a solid thunk. The creature didn't flinch, didn't startle, didn't do anything except turn its head slightly, tracking the bullet's path, then looking back at Webb with something that might have been amusement. "It's calling our bluff," I said quietly. The Alpha vocalized again, a shorter sound this time. The other two spread out, flanking positions, moving with coordinated precision. Military tactics. These things understood squad movements. "New plan," Webb said, voice tight. "We're not sleeping here. We move now, fast and hard. Reach the valley floor by midnight. Open terrain, harder for them to use cover. Then we push through the night." "Chen can barely walk," Foster protested. "Then I'll carry him if I have to. But we're not getting trapped on this ridge." The Alpha took another step forward. Webb fired again, not a warning shot this time. Center mass. The suppressed round hit the creature in the chest with a wet smack. It stumbled back 1 step, looked down at the wound, looked back up at us, and roared. Not a vocalization, not language. Pure rage, a sound so loud, so deep. It felt like being hit with physical force. My chest vibrated. My ears rang. The other two answered, their roars overlapping, building, creating a wall of sound that triggered every panic response evolution had programmed into human DNA. "Go," Webb screamed. "East Ridge, move, move, move." We ran again. Behind us, the roaring cut off abruptly, replaced by the sound of pursuit. Fast pursuit. They'd been playing with us before. Now they were hunting. We descended the eastern slope in barely controlled chaos. Chen, high on adrenaline, forgot his injured ankle and matched our pace. Vasquez led, finding the path with instinct, more than vision. Foster stayed with Chen. Webb and I pulled rear security, stopping every 30 seconds to scan our back trail. The creatures followed at a distance, pacing us, no longer hiding. "Why don't they just attack?" I gasped between movements. Webb's expression was grim. "Because they're having fun." My stomach dropped. He was right. This was a hunt, and they were enjoying it. We hit the valley floor at 2,320 hours. Legs rubber, lungs raw. Open ground, a meadow maybe 200 meters across, fed by a creek that cut through the center. Moonlight broke through the clouds, painting everything in silver. Exposed, vulnerable, but we could see them coming. "Perimeter," Webb ordered. "Overlapping fields of fire. We're done running." We formed a tight circle near the creek, kneeling in the wet grass, rifles oriented outward. I could hear everyone's breathing ragged, desperate. Could smell our sweat, sharp with fear. Chen checked his magazine. 4 rounds left. 3. Foster said. We'd been rationed 30 rounds each for the exercise, not expecting combat. Most of us had fired warning shots, spent rounds. Now we were looking at a firefight with maybe 15 bullets between 5 people, against creatures that didn't seem bothered by getting shot. Vasquez pulled out a signal flare from her vest. "Emergency beacon. If I pop this, command will see it. Extract bird could be here in 40 minutes. 40 minutes we might not have," I said. "You got a better option?" I didn't. Webb nodded. "Do it." She armed the flare, pointed it skyward, pulled the trigger. The flare rocketed up with a brilliant orange contrail, climbing 500 feet before bursting into a hovering star that painted the entire valley in flickering amber light. For 6 seconds, nothing happened. Then the tree line erupted. Not 3 creatures. 7. They emerged from the forest in a coordinated line, spread 20 meters apart, moving with purpose. The Alpha centered, flanked by the others, all advancing at a steady walk, not charging, walking, because they knew we had nowhere left to go. "Jesus, Mary, and Joseph," Foster whispered. The Alpha stopped at 50 meters. The others followed suit, forming a semicircle that trapped us against the creek. For a long moment, nobody moved. Predators and prey, locked in tableau. Then the Alpha vocalized a long, complex series of sounds, syllables that rose and fell with unmistakable intent. It's talking to us again, Chen said uselessly. What's it saying? Vasquez asked. How the hell were we supposed to know? But the tone was clear enough. A demand. An order. It wanted something from us. Webb slowly rose to his feet, rifle lowered but ready. I think it wants us to submit. Submit? Foster's voice cracked. We're not dogs. No. We're prey that fought back. And now it's offering terms. The Alpha tilted its head, watching Webb, waiting. This is insane, I muttered. But I stood too. So did the others. Webb took one step forward, arm slightly out, showing he wasn't raising his weapon. We don't want trouble. We're just passing through. Let us go. The Alpha's lips pulled back that predator smile again. Then it gestured. A simple motion, pointing at our rifles, then pointing at the ground. Disarm. Absolutely not, Webb said immediately. The creature's expression didn't change. It simply pointed again. Rifles. Ground. Then it pointed at Chen and made a snapping motion with its hands. The message was clear. Give up your weapons, or we break the small one. Chen went pale. Sarge. Webb's jaw clenched so tight I could hear teeth grinding. He was calculating odds. 7 creatures, 15 bullets. 4 of those bullets in guns we weren't even sure worked anymore. Chen injured. Extract 40 minutes out minimum. If the beacon even worked. If command could scramble a bird that fast. No good options. We're U.S. military, Webb said loudly, desperately. Soldiers. Army. You understand? Hurting us brings consequences. Big consequences. The Alpha cocked its head the other direction, a gesture so human, so mocking. It made my skin crawl. Then it laughed. A deep, rumbling sound that might have been vocalization or might have been genuine amusement. It knew exactly what we were, and it didn't care. New plan, Webb said quietly. On my mark, we dump rounds at the Alpha. Full auto if you've got it. Kill the leader. Maybe the others scatter. Then we sprint north, try to reach higher ground before the Alpha moved. 1 second it was 50 meters away. The next, it had closed half that distance. I didn't see it move. It was just there. Impossible speed. Physics-defying acceleration. Open fire, Webb screamed. We did. 15 rounds, maybe less, converging on the Alpha's center mass. Suppressed rifles coughing like a series of sharp coughs. Muzzle flashes strobing. The Alpha jerked with each impact chest, shoulder, abdomen. Dark patches bloomed in its fur. It stumbled, dropped to one knee. Reload. Webb ejected his magazine, slammed a fresh one home. The Alpha looked up at us, still smiling, and stood back up. Oh God, Vasquez breathed. The creature rolled its shoulders, like an athlete loosening tight muscles. Then it vocalized 2 sharp syllables. A command. The other 6 charged. They covered 50 meters in 3 seconds. No time to aim, no time to think. I fired point blank into the nearest one's face. The round punched through its cheek, spraying blood and teeth. It bellowed, swatted me like a doll. I flew backward, hit the ground, stars exploding across my vision. Chaos, screaming, gunfire. Foster tackled one creature, actually tackled it. 240 pounds of linebacker desperation. They went down together, rolling. His knife flashed. Dark blood sprayed. Chen fired his last rounds into another's chest. It grabbed his rifle, ripped it from his hands, threw it into the creek, then grabbed him by the vest. He screamed. Chen! Vasquez pivoted, fired. The round hit the creature's arm. It dropped Chen, turned on her instead. Webb was fighting the Alpha hand-to-hand, the most insane thing I'd ever seen. Rifle as a club. Swinging for the head. The Alpha caught the rifle mid-swing, tore it away, backhanded Webb 10 feet. I staggered up, pulled my sidearm Beretta M9, 15 rounds. Fired 3 shots into the creature advancing on Vasquez. It stumbled. She rolled clear. Foster was still on the ground with his opponent. Knife buried in its throat. But the creature was stronger. It grabbed his head with both hands. No, I screamed. Too far away. The creature twisted. A wet crack. Foster went limp. Jamal. Webb's voice broke on the name. The creature dropped Foster's body. Stood. Looked at us. We'd killed it. The knife wound was mortal. I could see blood pumping from the severed carotid, but it had killed Foster first, a trade it was willing to make. The Alpha vocalized again. The others stopped attacking, stepped back, formed a loose circle around us. 4 of us left. Chen curled in fetal position, gasping. Vasquez bleeding from a gash on her forehead. Webb swaying, probably concussed. Me with 6 rounds in my pistol. The Alpha stepped forward, reached down, picked up Webb's rifle from the grass, and studied it, turned it over, examined the magazine well, the charging handle, the trigger. Learning. Oh God, it was learning. The Alpha held the rifle like a curious child examining a new toy. Its fingers, too long, too articulated, wrapped around the pistol grip. Found the trigger. Webb lunged forward. Don't. The Alpha pulled the trigger. Nothing. Safety on. It looked at the weapon, looked at Webb, back to the weapon. Then its thumb found the safety selector. Clicked it to fire. Everyone down. I tackled Vasquez. We hit the mud as the Alpha raised the rifle awkwardly, unfamiliar with the mechanics, and squeezed. The burst went high 5 rounds on full auto. Suppressed coughs followed by supersonic cracks as bullets split the air overhead. The Alpha jerked with the recoil, clearly not expecting it. Dropped the rifle, shook its hand, making a sound that might have been annoyance or pain. Then it picked the weapon up again. This time, it braced the stock against its shoulder. Muscle memory, imitation, learning in real time. It's adapting, Vasquez whispered, voice hollow. It's watching us and adapting. The Alpha pointed the rifle at the ground. Fired once. The round kicked up mud. It adjusted aim slightly. Fired again. Closer to center. Target practice. With our own weapons, using our own tactics. Webb slowly pushed himself upright, blood running from his nose. We need to move. Now. While it's distracted. Foster, Chen started, is gone, and we will be too if we don't move. The words were brutal, necessary. I grabbed Chen's arm, hauled him up. Vasquez took his other side. We started backing toward the creek, slow and quiet. The Alpha's head snapped up, eyes locked on us. It dropped the rifle, vocalized 2 sharp barks. The other creatures closed ranks, blocking our escape routes. North, south, east all cut off. Only west remained open. Back toward the forest, back into their territory. They're hurting us again, I said. Webb's expression was dead. Then we go where they want. Maybe. Maybe they'll get bored. Maybe they'll let us go. Neither of us believed that. But what choice did we have? We stumbled into the tree line, the creatures following at a distance, maintaining formation. They didn't rush us, didn't attack, just guided us deeper into the forest, like wolves steering sheep. The flare had long since burned out. Darkness swallowed us again, just our NVGs and the pale moonlight filtering through the canopy. Chen was crying silently, tears cutting tracks through the mud on his face. Foster saved my life in Kandahar, pulled me out of a burning Humvee. I owed him, and now he's... Focus, Vasquez said gently but firmly. We survive this. We honor him by living. Understand? Chen nodded, swallowing hard. We walked for 30 minutes. The terrain rose again, steepening, forcing us to use hands and feet to climb over moss-slick boulders. Behind us, the creatures followed with ease, navigating terrain that challenged us, even with night vision. Then we smelled it. That musk again, stronger, concentrated, mixed with something else. Decay, old death. Oh no, Webb breathed. We crested a rise and stopped. A cave, 40 feet wide, opening into darkness that our NVGs couldn't penetrate. The smell rolled out like a physical wall, animal musk, rotting meat, ammonia from urine and feces, and bones, scattered across the cave mouth. Deer, elk, bear, and others. Human. Skulls, rib cages, femurs, some old bleached white, others recent, still carrying tissue. This is their den, Vasquez whispered. The alpha vocalized behind us. Not aggressive. Almost inviting. It wanted us to go inside. No, Webb said flatly. We don't go in there. The alpha took one step forward. The others followed suit. A wall of muscle and fur and predatory intent. The message was clear. Go in, or we force you in. Chen's hand found his combat knife, the only weapon we had left. We fight here. I'm not dying in a cave like some animal. We fight. We die in 30 seconds, I said. We go in the cave. Maybe we find another exit. Maybe nothing, Chen spat. They're going to kill us, Morrison. Foster's already dead. We're next. So I'd rather die fighting than... A sound from inside the cave cut him off. Not a creature sound. A human sound. A voice. Weak. Trembling. Help. Please. We froze. That's English. Vasquez breathed. Another voice. Different pitch. Anyone. Can anyone hear me? Webb's expression shifted from despair to desperate hope. There are survivors in there. Or, it's a trap, I countered. Lures. They're smart enough to help us. The voice broke into coughing. Please, we're dying. The alpha vocalized again, softer this time. Then it did something that shattered all my assumptions. It stepped aside, moved out of our path, created an opening, giving us a choice. We could run, try to escape, almost certainly die in the attempt. Or we could go into the cave, maybe help whoever was inside, maybe find some answers, maybe walk straight into a trap we'd never leave. Webb looked at each of us. Vasquez, Chen, me, reading our faces. Then he pulled a chemical light stick from his vest, cracked it, and started walking toward the cave. Webb. I grabbed his arm. He met my eyes. We're soldiers, Morrison. We don't leave people behind. Foster's behind. The blow landed. Webb flinched, but his expression hardened. And I'll carry that forever. But right now, someone in that cave needs help, so I'm going in. You can run if you want. I won't blame you. He pulled free, walked toward the darkness. Vasquez followed without hesitation. Chen limped after them, leaving me alone with the creatures. The alpha watched me, waiting. I could run. I was the fastest. I might make it half a mile before they caught me. Die alone in the forest. Or I could follow my team. D together. Is that even a choice? I followed. The cave mouth swallowed us. Webb's chem light threw green illumination across walls, covered in pictographs, crude paintings in ash and clay, and what might have been blood. Hunting scenes, families, territories. They're intelligent. Vasquez breathed. Fully intelligent. This is art. This is culture. The voices came from deeper in, echoing off stone. We followed, descending a gradual slope, the ceiling lowering until we had to duck. Then the cave opened into a chamber, and we saw them. 3 people, 2 men, 1 woman. Filthy, emaciated, dressed in tattered hiking clothes, chained to the wall by ropes made of twisted plant fiber, but alive. Oh, thank God, the woman sobbed. Thank God. Please, get us out. It's been weeks, we thought. We're U.S. Army, Webb said, kneeling beside her. We're getting you out. Hold on. He started working on the knots. Vasquez helped with the men. I kept watch on the cave entrance, expecting the creatures to pour in. They didn't. They just waited outside, guarding the exit. How long have you been here? Vasquez asked while working the ropes. 5 weeks, one of the men rasped. Hiking. North Cascades Trail. They took us at night. Why? Chen demanded. Why keep you alive? The 3 exchanged looks. The woman answered, We're livestock. The word hung in the cave's stale air like a physical presence. Livestock. What do you mean? Webb asked, though the strain in his voice said he understood perfectly. The older of the 2 men, maybe 50, gaunt as a skeleton, laughed bitterly. You're military. Smart guys. You do the math. They keep us alive, fed, hydrated, not comfortable, but alive. What do ranchers do with cattle? They're not ready to slaughter yet. Oh God, they're farming us, Vasquez whispered. The woman nodded, tears cutting tracks through grime on her face. They bring food every few days. Roots, berries, fish. Keep us healthy enough. We've watched them take others. Hikers they've captured. They take them deeper into the cave system and... Her voice broke. We hear the screaming, and then it stops, and the creatures come back with blood on their hands. Chen backed against the cave wall, hyperventilating. This isn't real. This isn't real. How many others? I asked. We're 6 of us initially. Now, 3. The creatures took Rick 4 days ago. Took Sarah last week. They select the weakest, the ones who stop fighting. Webb's hands moved faster on the knots. Desperate urgency overriding technique. We're getting you out. All of you. There's an extract bird coming. The younger man, maybe 30, probably athletic before captivity, stole 40 pounds, grabbed Webb's wrist. You don't understand. They let you in here. They want you here. You think you found us? They brought you to us. Why? Vasquez demanded. Because you're military. You're strong. You'll last longer. More meat. Better quality. The knot came free. Webb moved to the next captive. I kept my eyes on the cave entrance, pistol ready. The creatures' silhouettes were visible against the moonlight, still waiting, still watching. Why weren't they stopping us? There. Webb freed the second captive. Started on the third. When I say move, we all move. Straight out, full sprint. The creatures might not expect. They always expect, the woman said hollowly. We've tried escaping twice. They let us get almost 100 yards. Then they bring us back. They think it's entertaining. We have weapons, I said. We've killed one already. We can fight our way out. You killed one? The older man's eyes widened. Impossible. They're too fast, too strong. My friend put a knife in its throat. The words tasted like acid. It died. They can die. For the first time, something like hope flickered in their expressions. Webb freed the last captive. Can you walk? All 3 nodded. Then we walk. Stay between us. We'll form a protective formation. Vasquez, Chen, you take lead. Morrison, rear guard. I'll stay center with the civilians. We move slow and steady. No sudden movements. If they attack, we focus fire on the alpha. Kill the leader. Maybe the rest lose coordination. It was a terrible plan. It was the only plan we had. We formed up. The 3 hikers in the middle, shaking from weakness and fear. I pulled my pistol, checked the mag. 6 rounds left. 6 rounds against 6 creatures. The math wasn't encouraging. We started moving toward the cave mouth. Slow, deliberate. My heart hammered so hard I could feel it in my teeth. The alpha's silhouette grew larger as we approached the exit. It hadn't moved. Just stood there. Massive shoulders blocking half the opening. 20 feet away. 10. We emerged from the cave. The 6 creatures stood in a semicircle, exactly as before, waiting. The alpha looked at us. At the freed captives. Its head tilted. Then, it vocalized a long, complex phrase that ended on a rising note. A question? Keep moving. Webb breathed. North, toward the valley. Don't run. Don't provoke them. We started walking. 1 step, 2, 5, 10. The creatures didn't move. 15 steps, 20. Oh God, it's working, Vasquez whispered. They're letting us go. 30 steps. The alpha threw back its head and howled. Not rage. Not aggression. The sound of a hunter signaling the start of the hunt. The other 5 answered, voices overlapping into a chorus that echoed across the mountains. Then they charged. Run, Webb screamed. We ran. The hikers, weakened by weeks of captivity, stumbled after 5 steps. The younger man went down hard. Webb grabbed him, physically hauled him up, half carrying him. Behind us, the creatures gained ground with horrifying speed. Split up, I yelled. Make them choose targets. Chen broke left, Vasquez right. I stayed with Webb and the civilians, firing blind over my shoulder 3 rounds. Don't know if they hit anything. A scream behind me. The woman. I spun, saw a creature lift her off the ground by her hair. She thrashed, kicked, useless against its strength. I fired my last 3 rounds. 2 hit, shoulder, chest. The creature dropped her, roared. I dropped the empty pistol, pulled my knife. The creature came at me like a freight train. I ducked under its first swing, felt wind from the blow that would have decapitated me. Drove my knife into its abdomen, up under the ribs, hunting for vital organs. It screamed, backhanded me. I flew, hit a tree, felt ribs crack. Couldn't breathe. White spots in my vision. The creature staggered, holding its stomach. Blood dark and hot poured over its fingers. Another mortal wound, but it was still moving, still coming. I scrambled backward, searching for anything, rock, branch, weapon. My hand found a fist-sized stone. The creature loomed over me, raising both arms for a finishing blow. I threw the stone at its face. It bounced off its forehead, utterly ineffective, but it bought me half a second, long enough for Webb to put his knife in the creature's spine. It seized, dropped, thrashed once, twice, then went still. 2 down, 5 left. Vasquez's voice, distant. Help, chins down. Webb and I ran toward her position, leaving the 2 rescued men behind. No choice. Couldn't carry them and fight. Found Vasquez standing over Chen's body, a makeshift spear broken branch with a sharpened end in her hands. She'd driven it into a creature's eye. It lay twitching in the leaves, making wet gurgling sounds. 3 down. Chen wasn't moving, his neck bent at an impossible angle. No, Webb breathed. No, no, no. He's gone, Vasquez said, voice mechanical, shock setting in. It was instant. He didn't suffer. A howl behind us. The Alpha, calling the remaining 3. Regrouping. They'd killed 2 of us. We'd killed 3 of them. The odds hadn't improved. The woman, I gasped, through broken ribs. Where? Taken. They dragged her back to the cave while you were fighting. So, we'd saved no one. Lost 2 team members. Gained nothing. Just 3 soldiers against 4 apex predators in the middle of nowhere. And dawn was still 3 hours away. We can't win this, Vasquez said quietly. We need to accept that. They're faster, stronger, and we're down to improvised weapons. Webb's jaw set. So what do you suggest? We make them earn it. We hurt them bad enough that they remember. Next time they see soldiers, maybe they think twice. It wasn't optimism. It was spite. Stubborn, human spite in the face of certain death. I can work with that, I said. The 4 creatures regrouped 50 meters away, visible as dark shapes against the pre-dawn gray. They vocalized among themselves, strategy discussion. I was certain now. They were learning from the fight. Adapting. We need an advantage, Webb said. Something they don't expect. Morrison, your demolition's trained. Anything in your kit we can weaponize? I took inventory. Chem lights, paracord, water purification tablets, signal mirror. Nothing obviously explosive. Then, my hand touched the small plastic bottle in my vest's bottom pouch. Hand sanitizer. Alcohol-based. 90% ethanol. I can make fire, I said slowly. Not much, but fire. Animals fear fire. These aren't animals, Vasquez countered. They're still organic, still burn. Webb nodded. Do it. I pulled out paracord, wrapped it around 3 branches to create a makeshift torch, soaked it in hand sanitizer, used my signal mirror to focus moonlight on the alcohol-soaked fibers. Old survival trick, takes patience and steady hands. My hands were shaking. Vasquez and Webb kept watch while I worked. Weapons ready, her spear, his knife, both stained with blood. 30 seconds. The alcohol started smoking. 40 seconds. A spark. 50 seconds. Flame. Small, flickering, barely brighter than a candle, but fire nonetheless. The creatures immediately reacted, heads snapping toward the light, vocalizations taking on a different tone. Wariness. They don't like it, Vasquez breathed. Then let's give them more to dislike. I pulled out my last chem light, cracked it, shook it into full luminescence, and threw it toward the creatures. It arced through the air, landed 10 feet in front of them. Green light flared. All 4 backed up several steps. They associate bright light with danger now, Webb realized. We trained them when we used our rifle lights. They think light equals pain. Conditioning. Pavlovian response. Maybe we could use that. We moved toward the creek. Webb decided. Water at our backs limits their approach angles. We use the torch and chem lights to create a barrier, force them to attack from predictable directions. It was something. Not much, but something. We retreated toward the sound of running water, moving carefully, keeping the torch between us and the creatures. They followed at a distance, maintaining separation, respecting the fire, but not fleeing, still hunting. We reached the creek, the same one from the meadow, narrower here, maybe 8 feet across. The water ran fast and shallow over smooth stones. Webb positioned us with our backs to the water. They have to come from one direction now. We hold here until sunrise. Maybe daylight changes the equation. Or maybe they just wait us out. I said, we're exhausted, injured, running on adrenaline. Eventually we'll collapse. They just have to be patient. Then we don't collapse. We take turns. 2 up, 1 resting. Rotate every hour. The alpha vocalized a long, descending phrase that sounded almost mournful. What was that? Vasquez asked. The 3 other creatures responded in sequence. Similar tones. I think. I swallowed hard. I think they're mourning their dead. The 3 we killed. Their family. Vasquez stared at me. You're saying these things have emotions? I'm saying they're people. Not human people, but people. With language, culture, family bonds. And we killed 3 of their. I couldn't finish the sentence. The alpha's eyes fixed on me across the distance. It knew I understood. And that made this worse. So much worse. Because now this wasn't monsters hunting prey. This was blood feud. Dawn came with agonizing slowness. The sky lightened from black to deep blue to pale gray. Our torch had burned out an hour earlier. We were down to 2 chem lights and improvised spears. The creatures hadn't attacked again. They just waited, sitting on their haunches in a loose semicircle, watching us, occasionally vocalizing to each other, patient, deliberate. They're going to rush us the moment we let our guard down, Vasquez muttered. She'd taken over watch duty, while I rested, though I hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Foster's neck snap, saw Chen lying broken in the leaves. Webb sat with his back against a boulder, eyes distant. We failed the exercise. That's what you're thinking about? I asked incredulously. 48 hours ago, failing a navigation exercise was the worst possible outcome. Now 2 of our team are dead, and I'm worried we'll never make it back to report what we found. He laughed bitterly. Perspective is funny. A noise overhead, distant but growing louder. Rotor blades. Hello. Vasquez jumped to her feet. That's a Blackhawk. The flare worked. The sound intensified, definitely coming our way, probably using our last known position from the emergency beacon. The creatures heard it too. All 4 heads turned skyward, tracking the sound. The alpha stood, vocalized sharply. The others responded, moving quickly toward the tree line, retreating. They're leaving. Webb struggled upright. They're afraid of the helicopter. Not afraid, I realized. Smart. They understood aviation, understood that helicopters meant more humans, more weapons, more danger. The cost-benefit analysis had shifted. We weren't worth the risk anymore. The alpha stopped at the tree line's edge, turned back, looked directly at me, and I swear, it nodded. Acknowledgement, respect between enemies. Then it melted into the forest. The others followed. Within seconds, they were gone, vanished into the undergrowth, like they'd never existed. The Blackhawk crested the ridge 30 seconds later, searchlight sweeping the valley. It vectored toward us immediately, pilot clearly seeing our chemlight signals. Webb waved both arms overhead. The standard, "We need extract" signal. The bird flared, landing in the meadow 40 meters away. Crew chief jumped out, rifle up, scanning for threats. We stumbled toward salvation on legs that barely worked. The flight back to Lewis McChord took 20 minutes. Nobody spoke. Couldn't hear over the rotors anyway. The crew chief tried asking questions, but Webb just shook his head. What could we say? We touched down on the base pad at 0620 hours. An ambulance was waiting. Medics immediately triaged us. Vasquez for the head laceration, me for broken ribs, Webb for possible concussion. But the medical team wasn't alone. 3 officers in service uniforms, one with colonel's insignia, another with a patch I recognized, Defense Intelligence Agency, and a woman in civilian clothes with a badge clipped to her belt. No agency identification visible. We were separated immediately. Different ambulances, different routes. I caught Webb's eyes as they led him away. His expression said everything. This doesn't end with medical treatment. They kept me in medical for 6 hours. X-rays confirmed 3 fractured ribs, severe bruising, mild dehydration, standard treatment, pain management, observation, fluids. But it wasn't standard personnel administering it. Every nurse, every technician, wore DIA badges. No regular Army medical staff. Everything documented, photographed, recorded, including my injuries. Especially my injuries. At 1,300 hours, the woman in civilian clothes entered my room. Mid-40s, dark hair pulled tight, eyes that could dissect a lie at 50 paces. Sergeant Morrison, I'm Director Kelsey, Defense Intelligence Agency. You're not in trouble, but I need you to answer some questions. Everything you say will be classified, top secret. Do you understand? I nodded. She pulled out a digital recorder. Describe exactly what you encountered during your training exercise. I told her everything. The tracks, the tree markings, Foster's death, Chen's death, the cave, the captives, the intelligence, the language, the tactics. She listened without interruption, face expressionless. When I finished, silence filled the room. Then she asked, how many creatures did you observe total? 7. Killed? 3. 4 retreated when extract arrived. Did they demonstrate tool use beyond examining the rifle? They used coordinated tactics, flanking maneuvers, strategic retreat. That's tool use of a different kind. She made notes. And the captives in the cave, you're certain they were being kept as livestock? That's what they said. That's what it looked like. We recovered 2 individuals matching your description, both male, severely malnourished, dehydrated. They're being debriefed separately. What about the woman? The one they took? Director Kelsey's expression didn't change. We're conducting search operations. So far, unsuccessful, meaning she was dead. Or gone where we couldn't find her. What happens now? I asked. Now you sign documents. Non-disclosure agreements with teeth. You'll never speak of this to anyone, family, friends, fellow soldiers, therapists. Not without explicit authorization from DIA. Violation carries minimum 15 years federal imprisonment. She leaned forward. But here's what you need to understand, Sergeant. You and your team didn't discover something new. We've known about these creatures for decades. Multiple agencies have been monitoring them, studying them, trying to determine scope and threat level. My blood went cold. You knew. You knew, and you sent us into their territory anyway. We didn't send you anywhere. Your training command selected that AO without consulting us. We have dozens of marked zones across the Pacific Northwest that are off limits for exactly this reason. Your exercise wasn't supposed to overlap, but you could have warned us. The garbled radio message came from a Forest Service liaison attached to our monitoring program. He saw your planned route, tried to abort the exercise. By the time he reached you, you were already in too deep. I processed that. How many people have they killed? We estimate 43 disappearances in the last 20 years that likely connect to this particular population group. Could be more. Hikers, campers, hunters, people who went into the wrong valleys and never came out. And you've done nothing? Just monitored and documented while they hunt people? Her eyes hardened. What would you have us do, Sergeant? Publicize the existence of an unknown hominid species that views humans as prey? Cause mass panic? Destroy every remaining member of a potentially sentient species? We're trying to find solutions that don't involve genocide or societal collapse. Foster and Chen deserved better than being test cases for your policy decisions. You're right. They did, and their families will receive letters saying they died in a training accident. Hearts and minds, we can't give them the truth they deserve because the truth would destroy more lives than it would heal. She stood. Sign the NDAs, Sergeant. Go home. See a therapist, one with security clearance. Process this however you can, but keep silent. That's not a request. She left. An hour later, I signed 37 pages of documents I barely read. They released me at 1,800 hours. Webb and Vasquez were waiting in the hallway, both in clean uniforms, both looking hollow. They told you? Webb asked. Yeah. Decades, Vasquez said bitterly. They've known for decades. Foster died because of a bureaucratic oversight. Foster died because something that shouldn't exist does, I said quietly. Not sure who to blame for that. Webb's jaw clenched. I blame myself. I was team leader. I should have aborted when we found the first track. Should have called for extract the moment things felt wrong. Should have. Stop, Vasquez interrupted. We all made the same decisions. We all kept pushing forward. Foster and Chen would have made the same calls in your position. Doesn't make them less dead. No response to that. Because he was right. We stood in that hallway for a long time. 3 soldiers who'd survived the impossible. Unsure what to do with the aftermath. Finally, Webb spoke. They're giving us 30 days leave. Mandatory. Then reassignment to different units. They're breaking up Reaper 5. Of course they are, I said. Can't have us comparing notes. Can't risk us going public together. Would you? Vasquez asked. Go public? I considered it. Imagined the media circus. The investigations. The disbelief. The mockery. Imagined Foster's and Chen's families learning the truth. Your sons died fighting cryptids. The government's been hiding. No, I admitted. I wouldn't. Me either, Webb said. Same, Vasquez added. We were complicit now. Part of the cover-up, willing or not. That was 5 years ago. I'm out of the Army now. Medical retirement, the rib injuries never healed properly. Chronic pain interfered with duties. Honorable discharge, decent benefits, free to live a civilian life. I moved to the Midwest. Far from mountains, far from forests. Somewhere flat and safe and boring. I see a therapist twice a month, one with clearance. We talk around the edges of what happened, never quite saying it directly. She prescribes medications I don't take because I need to stay alert, just in case. Webb and I exchange emails occasionally. Surface-level stuff. How's the weather? Did you see the game? Normal things that dance around the enormous truth we can never discuss. Vasquez sent one message 2 years ago. I still hear them calling to each other. Do you? I do. Every night when it's quiet, I hear those vocalizations. That language we couldn't understand. Those tactical discussions before they attacked. I hear Foster's neck snap. Hear Chen crying. Hear that woman begging for help we couldn't provide. Mostly, I remember the Alpha's eyes. The intelligence there. The calculation. The understanding. Director Kelsey was wrong about one thing. She said they've been monitoring the creatures for decades, trying to determine threat level and scope, but that works both ways. Those creatures are monitoring us too, learning our patterns, our weapons, our tactics. They examined Webb's rifle with genuine curiosity, figured out the safety mechanism in seconds. We're developing marksmanship skills through observation. They're adapting, and we're pretending they don't exist. Here's what keeps me awake at night. We encountered 7 creatures in one small section of the Cascades. Director Kelsey mentioned this particular population group, implying there are others. Multiple groups, maybe dozens, maybe hundreds. All of them intelligent, all of them territorial, all of them with the capacity to view humans as prey. And we're still sending hikers, campers, hunters into their territory. Still pretending the disappearances are accidents, poor planning, bad luck. Still lying. 3 months ago, something changed. I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line. Just a link to a news article. Missing hikers found in Cascade Mountains. Bizarre injuries. Baffle investigators. I clicked it against my better judgment. 8 hikers. Vanished during a weekend trek. Found 6 days later, wandering near a logging road, severely traumatized. All of them reported being herded by large animals, being kept in a cave, hearing others screaming deeper in the darkness. But when search and rescue investigated, they found nothing. No cave, no evidence, just forest. The official explanation: mass psychotic episode triggered by dehydration and hypothermia. Dismissed. Contained. Buried. I forwarded the article to Webb and Vasquez without comment. Webb's response came 12 hours later. "We need to talk. Secure line." The call happened at 0200 my time. Webb on video. Vasquez conferenced in audio only. "They're escalating," Webb said without preamble. "I've been tracking reports using FOIA requests, monitoring missing persons databases, connecting dots. The encounter rate is increasing. 3 incidents in 2019, 7 in 2020, 14 in 2021. This year, 28 so far. Population growth?" I asked. "Or territorial expansion? Or they're getting bolder? Hell, maybe all 3. He pulled up a map on screen share, the Pacific Northwest dotted with red pins. "These are confirmed disappearances, with characteristics matching what we experienced. The clusters are spreading, east into Montana, south into Oregon, north into British Columbia." Vasquez's voice came through tinny on the audio. "Dia knows. They have to. So why aren't they acting?" "Because they don't know what to do," I said. "How do you fight something that intelligent, that adapted to its environment, without committing genocide? And how do you commit genocide against a species we don't even officially acknowledge?" "So, they're just letting it happen," Vasquez said bitterly. "Acceptable losses." Webb's expression was dark. "Not acceptable to me." "What are you saying?" I asked carefully. "I'm saying someone needs to warn people. Someone needs to document the truth. Get evidence that can't be suppressed. You signed the same NDAs we did. 15 years federal prison. For what? Speaking truth? Trying to save lives?" He leaned closer to the camera. "I've been thinking about this for 5 years. Every day. Foster and Chen died because we didn't know what we were walking into. How many others have died since? How many more will die while we stay silent?" "You're talking about going public," Vasquez said quietly. "I'm talking about doing what's right." Silence on the line. Then I said, "You do this, your life is over. Career, reputation, freedom gone. They'll paint you as crazy, PTSD damaged, conspiracy theorist. They'll bury you so deep you'll never see daylight again. I know. And they'll come after anyone who supports you. Vasquez and I would be implicated, interrogated, possibly charged as co-conspirators." "I know that too." His voice cracked slightly. "That's why I'm not asking you to help. I needed you to know, before I do this, that I'm not crazy, that what we saw was real, that Foster and Chen didn't die for nothing." "Webb," Vasquez started, "you're the only 2 people on Earth who can confirm my story. But I won't ask you to destroy your lives for it. This is my choice. I just needed, I don't know, permission, absolution. You have it," I said immediately. "Both. Whatever this costs you, you're doing it for the right reasons." "Same," Vasquez added. "We'll deny everything if they question us, not to betray you, but to protect you. Give you deniability. Make them think you're acting alone. Maybe they'll go easier." Webb smiled sadly. "Thanks. That means more than you know." "When?" I asked. "Soon. I'm documenting everything, gathering evidence, building a case that's airtight." He paused. "If something happens to me, if I disappear, or have an accident, check the dead drop." He sent coordinates in the chat. "A location in Virginia. There's a USB drive hidden there. Everything I've compiled. If I don't make it to publication, you'll have to decide whether to finish this." "Don't talk like that," Vasquez said. "I'm being realistic. We're challenging powerful people who've spent decades hiding uncomfortable truths. They won't let that stand." He looked directly into the camera. But someone has to try. Someone has to stand up and say, "No more lies." The call ended shortly after. That was 2 months ago. I haven't heard from Webb since. His social media went dark 3 weeks ago. Phone disconnected, email bouncing back. I tried reaching out through mutual contacts. Everyone says they haven't heard from him either. Either he went underground to prepare his reveal, or someone silenced him. I don't know which scares me more. Last week, I received a package, no return address, postmarked from Seattle. Inside, a small envelope containing a key, the kind that opens a safety deposit box, and a note in Webb's handwriting. If you're reading this, I didn't make it. Box 447, First National Bank, Olympia, WA. Finish this. M.W. I'm flying to Washington tomorrow. So here's why I'm telling you this story. If you're watching this video, listening to my voice, it means I decided to go public. It means I retrieved whatever Webb left in that box. It means I'm willing to risk everything. Prison, credibility, safety, to tell the truth. Or it means someone else found Webb's evidence and decided the world needed to know. Either way, the information is out now. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, in the mountains we've declared wilderness, there are creatures that shouldn't exist. They're intelligent. They're dangerous. They hunt humans. And our government knows. If you hike those mountains, if you camp in remote areas, if you're planning trips into the Cascades, Olympics, or North Rockies, understand what you're risking. Understand that the normal precautions against bears and cougars won't help you against something that can plan, coordinate, and strategize. Something that might be watching your trail right now, deciding whether you're worth the effort. To Director Kelsey and whoever else monitors these things, I know you're watching. I know you'll come for me. Maybe you already have. But here's the thing about truth. Once it's out, you can't contain it. Can't suppress it. Can't make it disappear. Foster and Chen deserved better. The 43 people who vanished deserved better. Webb deserved better. The woman taken from that cave deserved better. And every future hiker deserves to know what's out there. So come get me. Charge me. Lock me up. I'll have done what soldiers are supposed to do. Protect people. Even if it means protecting them from their own government's lies. One last thing. That night in the forest, when the Alpha nodded to me before retreating, I've thought about that moment every day for 5 years. It wasn't respect between enemies. It was something else. A message. We see you. We know you. This isn't over. They're out there, watching, learning, adapting. And one day, the balance might shift. One day, they might decide that humans aren't the apex predators anymore. When that day comes, remember, you were warned. You just weren't told by the people you trusted to tell you. This is Sergeant Kyle Morrison, formerly of Reaper 5, signing off. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And if you're planning that hiking trip into the mountains, maybe reconsider. Some wilderness areas are wild for a reason. Stay safe out there. Or better yet, stay home. Classified addendum. Post-publication. Note. Discovered in Morrison's apartment after his disappearance. March 2024. To whoever finds this, I uploaded the video 3 days ago. Views are climbing 500,000 already. DIA hasn't contacted me yet, which is suspicious. Either they're building a case, or something else. Webb's evidence was damning. Photos, bone samples, testimonies from other survivors, documents proving government knowledge dating back to 1972. But here's what I didn't include in the video. The creatures aren't just in the Pacific Northwest anymore. Webb tracked them, spreading across 12 states. And the vocalizations we recorded? Linguistic experts analyzed them. The structure, syntax, complexity, comparable to human language. They're not animals. They're people. And we've been at war with them for 50 years without knowing it. If I disappear, and I probably will check the next dead drop, coordinates redacted. Keep fighting. Keep telling truth. Some of us have to. Document recovered by unknown party. Leaked online April 2024. Morrison's current status. Unknown. Webb's current status, unknown. Vasquez's current status, alive, refusing all interview requests. Creature activity in Pacific Northwest, ongoing. Government acknowledgement, none. The video you just watched has been viewed 3.2 million times. Official response, dismissed as creative fiction. But you know better now, don't you?